Happy Valentine's Day, guys! So, what is better than Picard Episode 4 Absolute Candor for Valentine's Day? Chocolates, flowers, dinner, romantic moments with your partner. Yeah, pretty much a lot of stuff, but hey, this is what I'm giving you. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach to Nerd, and in this episode we are reviewing episode 4 of Picard entitled Absolute Candor. We finally get Elnor! I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this episode, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, I'm not going to go verbatim, scene by scene, because you probably already watched the episode, so this is more of a recap, but I really enjoyed this episode, like better than all the other three. I really liked it. Can you tell I liked it? So let's just jump right in. So the things that we actually learned in this episode, and that Professor, I think she's Professor Rhonda, who was the Romulan patient that kind of freaked out when she saw Soji and called her the Destroyer in episode 3. We got a little bit more information from like a TV show interview she did where she talks about this event called the Gamdadan, if I'm saying that right, maybe not. But basically it's kind of like the Armageddon where everything gets wiped out. It is basically the destruction of everything, everyone, every person, every planet. And it is supposed to be sparked by the Destroyer. And that is what she called Soji in episode 3. And Soji has this weird connection to Rhonda. I'm really hoping I'm saying her name right. And it's very interesting. Like she's even holding her hand, she's doing scans, and she's like trying to figure out what this connection is. And made a comment to Narek saying that she felt seen by her when she flipped out on her in the previous episode. So that to me is interesting. Narek seems to actually be having real feelings for Soji, even though he knows she's not real or she's a synthetic. We also learned that the overall plan of Narek and O and Rizzo, his crazy sister, who, by the way, had a very incestuous moment when she showed up in his room in this episode. I mean, nobody rubs on their siblings that way. I don't know what that's about. It's just really creepy. But the overall goal is for him to seduce Soji into telling him where the rest of the synthetics like her are so they can wipe all of them out, because they think that she is also the Destroyer and basically the end of everything. So this is going pretty weird, pretty dark, pretty fast. So that's what's going on in Borg World. That's what I'm calling it right now. So back to Picard. So Picard, they're on their way to Free Cloud, with Rafi and with, his ragtag new team. We've got Agnes on board, who is bored out of her mind. She makes a reference that she can't even watch anything on the holodeck because there's only like Klingon opera, which is kind of funny because they've used that through Trek history like forever. Nobody seems to like Klingon opera except for Klingons. I think Worf did. I can't remember. It's been a while. But yeah, no one seems to give a crap about that. So it seems to be an offensive thing. And so I would really love to know why there is Klingon opera on this ship. But anyway, Picard decides to go to this planet called Vashti, and it is a planet that he had initially started to evacuate with Rafi back when they were on the Enterprise to basically, they were rescuing all the Romulans and taking them to this place because they didn't have any time to find, I guess, another suitable planet or other suitable, living quarters for these Romulans who are facing destruction with the supernova. And because of that, he kind of built a relationship with like these really cool, like, I want to call them warrior monks called the Kawat Malat. I'm saying that right, probably not. But basically they are a order of badass nuns who can take you out in like 2 seconds. But they have this like honor code called the Absolute Candor, which is what the episode is called. And it's because Picard wants to go there and ask for their help. Now, in the flashback, we see that he kind of had a relationship with one of the nuns called, I think it's Bashto, and that she was raising a young Romulan that Picard had left with her named Elnor. And Elnor basically is Picard's pseudo-son. He can't wait for Picard to come. Picard brings him gifts like books, like he brought him the Three Musketeers. He read to him. They were playing like mock fights from the book and teaching him how to fence. I mean, very, very cute, even though we know notoriously that Picard has a problem with kids. We knew this all the way back to the beginning with Wesley. So that relationship was really, really cool. But somewhere in one of his visits, Picard gets a call from Rafi about the Mars attack with the synthetics. And so he leaves. And then I guess they don't see him again for 14 years. And the planet has drastically changed. So when Picard tells Rios he wants to go there, he doesn't think anything about it. He's like, just, when they get there, they have to announce themselves because they can't just go into the planet because they have this really... It's not a sophisticated security system, but it is a shield with like these kind of nanobots that will take you out if you try and get through the shield. So they first announced that Picard is there because Picard's like, "What did you tell them that was me?" And they're like, "Yeah, they weren't impressed." So they managed to get him to the surface, and it is completely changed. Like their outdoor cafe that used to be in the Flashback, like this big, welcoming market, and everybody loved Picard. They probably even had a statue of him. They make a joke about that. Has now been like kind of like it's almost like going to an area of town that you're not supposed to be in after dark, and it's very discriminating. Like there's Romulan only signs on the cafe, and it's just not the same place that Picard left. So when he gets to the temple, he does find Bashto, who actually has not aged. And he makes a comment about her not aging. And she's like, "This is a place of honesty, don't lie." And I'm like, "No, he's serious. Compared to him, you look like you're not one day older." But he goes to her to ask for help. And so basically what's explained is, and Picard actually has to explain this to Agnes too, the only way that a Qowat Malat can take their sword and basically pledge it to your cause is if you meet certain criteria. And we don't know what the criteria is until the end. But he goes to Elnor, because Elnor basically can never be a Qowat Malat because he's not a girl, but he has trained, and they trained him very well. There's a fight scene in this episode with a former ambassador who's very, very, very upset with Picard for quote unquote lying, which I guess if you look at it from their point of view, he didn't come back, he left them in this like impoverished, place. So I kind of get it. It's an impoverished lifestyle. They're very angry, and he used to be an ambassador for Romulan, and so he really believed what Starfleet was telling him. And I didn't understand why Picard didn't just come out and say, "Hey, I was betrayed by Starfleet too. As a matter of fact, I threatened to resign and they fired me, basically." But no, he kind of was like not really defending himself. And so, of course, the guy challenges Picard to a duel, which doesn't end well because Elnor shows off his badass fighting skills and decapitates him. But getting ahead of myself. So basically, Elnor still feels a little bit upset that Picard kind of quote unquote abandoned him, even to the point of asking, "Did you miss me?" Because I kind of can see it from his point of view. Picard's here on this planet and he's asking for their help, and they recommend Elnor, and he's like, "Well, I want you because I'm an old man and you're a young man and you have fighting skills." And it's like, dude, this is why you ain't good with kids. You don't just say this to the guy who considers you to be his father figure, that you didn't come for him, you came for his fighting skills. But in the end, Elnor ended up, helping him fight anyway and swearing his sword to the cause. But it gets back to the requirements. So the requirements are, it was a lost cause. So I don't know if that means every mission that the Qowat Milat does is because of a lost cause, or they're like the last ditch effort of defense. But they did make a comment that even the Tal Shiar is scared of them. So they are really badass. And when you look at the fight, again, with Elnor against the two guys and the ambassador who were trying to force Picard to pick up his sword and fight them, and he just basically takes them down and decapitates the ambassador. I can see why they were scared. So just like their temple seemed to be in no danger whatsoever where they were of being overrun by the different, pirates. Like they said, there's birds of prey and things that were in and out, using it as a port to move, probably smuggling in illegal things, basically what happens to areas that are no longer protected by rangers, because rangers don't have the resources to keep protecting them. So it was very interesting, that whole dynamic. So I actually really, really enjoyed this episode. So we finally have Elnor. And the biggest thing that happened at the end is they were leaving the planet. Eleanor's aboard, and then they get attacked. And as they're fighting one of the birds of prey, another tiny ship comes and helps them fight. And there's a very, very good pilot. And they hail the ship right before they're getting ready because the birds of prey hit them to be disintegrated. They beam the pilot aboard. They keep referring to the pilot as a he, but it turns out to be 7 of 9. Which is awesome. She's only in it for like a millisecond. She probably has she just basically says, you owe me a new ship, Picard, and then passes out. But yeah, so 7 of 9 is now in it. So we got Eleanor and 7 of 9 in this episode, which is awesome. So I'm extremely excited. Now I guess we're on our way to Free Cloud in the next episode. So yeah, this has turned out to be a very, very, very good episode. We're finally in space. We finally went to another location other than the chateau. We got to see a little bit more of what happened with Rafi and Picard, and what happened with Planet Vashti and dealing with Bashto and Ellen. Just so much backstory. I loved it. Because now going forward, I think they're going to be going full charge. I know at some point we are going to see Riker and we are going to see Deanna. And I do know that Jonathan Frakes actually directed this episode, so that's cool. I think he directed the last one too. I don't know if he did all of them the first part of the series. I didn't check, but I definitely saw him in the credits for this one. So that's going to be cool. And I cannot wait to see the living quarters or farm or wherever Riker and Deanna are now with their kids when Picard drops in on them. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, so we're episode 4. We have 6 episodes left and a lot to do, so I'm excited. And then one quick honorable mention, I can't remember the name. There was a hospice, and there was a fighter. Was it Nelson? I don't remember the name of so when they're in the middle of a battle, he calls another person for help, and it's like a Spanish-speaking drunkard, AI. Not even a hologram that's just basically not even shooting anything. He's just kind of calling out saying, oh yeah, that's close. Oh yeah, they're this far apart. It's hilarious. His ship cracks me up. I think the holograms are the comedy relief of this series because they are hilarious. But yeah, so I look forward to seeing a new one next week, probably. But yeah, great episode. I think that we're going to learn a lot more about what's going on with the Destroyer, what's going on with Soji, what's actually going on with Bruce. Yeah, I loved it. But hey, that's my opinion. What did you think? Leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next in the Nerd Bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.